Hi everybody, my name is Cindy Holmstrom and I am the broker of Simply the Best Real Estate Company in San Diego, California. I imagine that a lot of you have questions about the recent ruling of the National Association of Realtors lawsuit, and of course it's subject to court approval still, but assuming that it all goes through, I'm sure many of you are wondering what that's going to mean for buyers and sellers and agents. So I hope to clear up some confusion and maybe answer some questions that you may have at this point. Of course, this is all new to everyone, and these are my personal opinions about how it can play out. Also, my views are from a California brokerage. Other states do things a little differently than California, so keep that in mind. So, so this is how things have been done since I've been in real estate, which has been since 1989, believe it or not. And so basically, a seller signs a listing agreement with an agent and agrees to pay the agent agreed upon commission. And as you can see from this excerpt from a listing agreement, that it is spelled out in black and white that real estate commissions are not fixed by law. They are set by each brokerage individually and may be negotiated between the broker and the seller. Then further down in the agreement is a clause advising the seller that it is the broker's policy to cooperate with other brokers by sharing a portion of the commission with fellow members of the MLS. And then also the broker can, if they wish, cooperate with other brokers that are not part of the MLS. So then after the listing is signed, then the agent broker will go into the multiple listing service where they will be required to enter an amount of compensation that they will be paying the buyer's broker. So this is one of the things that is changing with the new law. No longer will they be able to offer any kind of compensation in the multiple listing service to buyer brokers. Does this mean that listing agents can no longer offer compensation to buyers brokers? No, that does not mean that. It just means that they can't offer it in the MLS. Another change in the settlement is that the NAR has agreed to enact a new rule that all MLS participants who represent buyers must enter into a written agreement with the buyers. Now, this agreement is called a buyer representation and broker compensation agreement. This is going to go into effect mid-July along with the other changes. And it grants the broker the right to represent the buyer in the purchase of a property. It also establishes the amount of compensation that the broker will receive. And it can tie the buyer to this broker, who will be spending a significant amount of time and resources to help the buyer find the property and represent them in the purchase and follow through to the closing of escrow, etc. But it can also be only tied to properties that the broker shows them. So it just depends on what you negotiate with the broker. So am I saying that the buyer is now going to have to pay their agent the commission, where before it was usually the seller that paid the commission? Well, maybe, but I think what's going to happen is there's going to be some other websites that pop up that will offer to provide this service, since it's just the MLS that it can't be publicized on. And or it could be an existing website like Zillow or Homes.com or something like that that could offer that service. Who knows? And then there's lots of ways to communicate information. Email blasts, broker caravans, word of mouth. I mean, there's a lot of ways to get information out. So it could be that that doesn't change at all. Also, another part of the agreement is that sellers can offer not compensation, but concessions, buyer concessions, such as closing cost credits. So if you were a buyer who signed a buyer broker agreement and you agreed to pay a certain amount of commission to your agent, you could ask the seller to provide a closing cost credit that could offset that cost. And then basically you would be paying nothing to the broker. It would be paid for by the seller. So that's one way to work around that. people are going to have to get creative, and because we need buyer's brokers, and they don't work for free. So anyway, now of course, buyers can always go out and look at properties on their own. They can contact each individual listing agent to set up an appointment, go to open houses. I personally don't think this is the most efficient way to look at properties when you can have an agent do all that for you, set up all the appointments, and just show you a bunch of properties in one day. But a lot of buyers want to do that because they think it's going to save them money. But the problem with that, with this new ruling, is if the seller is not offering any compensation to a buyer's broker, then and the listing agent is exclusively representing the seller, then the listing agent may or may not be willing to write an offer up for you. And if they do decide to write an offer for you, they are going to inform you that they represent the seller exclusively, and they will have to give you some kind of a document that informs you that they are representing the seller, not you, and you'll have to sign that document before they move forward. And they most likely will charge you some sort of fee, or they may refer you to another agent who could represent you as the buyer's broker. Personally, I would rather be represented by someone who's looking out for my best interest than someone who's only representing the seller. Now, the other situation that can happen is if the listing agent is with a seller who's willing to pay compensation to them for representing both you and the both you and the seller. Well, then what happens in that situation is the listing agent is now a dual agent representing you and the seller, which is also not ideal because now the listing agent is in a neutral position and the agent is not able to go to bat for you or the seller. They are in a position of just trying to help you both come to a meeting of the minds, so to speak. And so I personally, like I said, would rather have an agent who is looking out for my best interests and trying to get the best possible offer accepted for me rather than just having someone do the paperwork. So anyway, that's how that works. So there's a lot. I can't say for sure how this is all going to play out. I think it's going to be fine. I'm hoping that agents don't shy away from representing buyers. I think some will because they're afraid they're not going to get paid, or it's just going to be a big hassle to try to get buyers to sign the buyer broker agreements because buyers right now probably don't totally understand the benefits of the buyer broker agreement. And I will be making a video later on to outline what the buyer broker agreement means and what the benefits are for both the agent and the buyer. So look forward to doing that. Anyway, feel free to contact me with any questions. My phone number is 858-361-6164, or you could email me, cindy@simplythebestre.com. Thanks for listening. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks. Bye.